My return to Benin City was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. After 5 exhausting years working as a caregiver in Italy, Joy finally came home with enough savings to surprise her husband, renovate their house, and begin the family business they had dreamed about before she left Nigeria. She told no one she was coming, not even her husband. She wanted to give him the surprise of a lifetime. But the surprise was waiting for her instead. As her taxi stopped in front of her compound, she smiled, imagining Emeka's reaction when he saw her standing at the gate. She reached for her suitcase and paid the driver. Then she froze. A woman was hanging freshly washed clothes on the line inside the compound. At first, Joy assumed it was a relative helping around the house. The woman turned around. Joy's heartbeat stopped. It was her childhood best friend. Worse still, Chuma was wearing Joy's favorite wrapper, the one Joy had left behind before traveling abroad. A bunch of house keys dangled from her hand as though they belonged to her. Before Joy could gather her thoughts, Chuma unlocked the front door and walked inside confidently. "Emeka, your food is getting cold." Seconds later, Emeka walked out of the house. The moment his eyes met Joy's, he froze. Before Joy could ask a single question, Chuma looked straight at her and said calmly, "You are finally back. We thought you weren't coming home." Joy felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. What exactly had happened while she was away? Before we uncover the truth behind this unforgettable homecoming, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy emotional Nigerian stories filled with suspense, powerful lessons, and unexpected twists. Now, let's begin. Joy had left Benin City 5 years earlier, carrying nothing but hope and determination. Finding work in Italy had not been easy. She took care of elderly people, worked long shifts, missed birthdays, weddings, church anniversaries, and every important family celebration. There were nights she cried herself to sleep because she missed home, but every sacrifice reminded her of the promise she had made to Emeka before boarding the plane. "When I return," she said with a smile, "we'll never struggle again." Emeka held her hands tightly. "I'll wait for you, Joy, no matter how long it takes." Standing beside them that day was Chuma. Joy and Chuma had been inseparable since childhood. They grew up on the same street, attended the same schools, and worshipped in the same church. They shared clothes, secrets, dreams, and even called each other sisters. When Joy received the opportunity to travel abroad, Chuma hugged her tightly. "Don't worry about anything," she whispered. "I'll help look after your home while you're away." Those words became Joy's source of comfort throughout the years. Every month, Joy sent money home. Some months, she skipped buying new clothes for herself just so she could send a little more. She trusted Emeka to continue building their dream house and expanding their small provision store. Whenever she called, Chuma often visited the house and reassured her. "The shop is doing well. Emeka is working hard. Everyone is praying for your safe return." Joy believed every word. She never imagined keeping her return a secret would expose a truth she was never meant to discover. As she stood speechless in her own compound, her eyes wandered around the house. The flowers she had planted before leaving had grown beautifully. The walls had been repainted. New furniture could be seen through the open window. Then she heard the voice of a little boy from inside the living room. "Mommy," he shouted happily, "Daddy is outside." Joy's heart skipped a beat. There had been no child when she left Nigeria. Who was the little boy calling Mommy, and who was he calling Daddy? Emeka opened his mouth, but no words came out. Joy looked from him to Chioma, waiting for someone, anyone, to explain what she had just walked into. For several long seconds, no one spoke. The silence was heavier than any argument. Joy tightened her grip on the handle of her suitcase, forcing herself to remain calm. "Emeka," she said quietly, Tell me I'm dreaming. Emeka lowered his head. Joy, please, let me explain. Before he could continue, the little boy ran out of the house. Mommy, he shouted as he wrapped his tiny arms around Chioma's waist. Joy's eyes filled with tears. The child looked about 4 years old. He smiled innocently before turning to Emeka. Daddy, who is this auntie? Those words pierced Joy's heart. She staggered backward. So, this is what my 5 years of sacrifice bought? Another woman in my home and a child calling my husband daddy? The neighbors, hearing the raised voices, began gathering outside the compound. Chioma stepped forward. Joy, please don't leave. If you walk away now, you'll never know the whole truth. Joy laughed bitterly. What truth is left to hear? I can see everything with my own eyes. She reached into her handbag and brought out a small gift box. I bought this watch for you, Emeka. I worked 3 extra weekends to afford it. She threw it on the ground. It seems I wasted my time. If you've ever experienced betrayal or thought you had, share this video with someone who believes every story has 2 sides. What Joy is about to discover will challenge everything she believes. Emeka bent down, picked up the gift box carefully, and looked at Joy with tears in his eyes. I never stopped loving you. Joy shook her head. Don't insult me with those words. If I wanted another woman, I would have told you years ago. Then explain this, Joy cried, pointing at Chioma and the little boy. Emeka looked at Chioma. Their eyes met. It was clear they were carrying a secret. But why? Chioma slowly knelt beside the child. Kelvin, sweetheart, can you go inside for a few minutes? The boy nodded and ran back into the house. Once he disappeared, Chioma turned to Joy. The boy is my son. Joy stared at her. So you admit everything? No. Then why does he call Emeka daddy? Chioma closed her eyes for a moment. Because that's the only father she has ever known. Joy frowned. Those words only deepened the mystery. Emeka finally spoke. Joy, 3 years after you left, Chioma's husband abandoned her. Husband? Joy blinked. Yes, Chioma replied softly. I got married a year after you traveled. I didn't tell you immediately because I wanted to surprise you with the news during one of our video calls. What happened? My husband lost his job, joined a group of fraudsters, and left after the police started looking for him. He emptied our account and left me with a newborn baby. Joy remained silent. I had nowhere to go, Chioma continued. My landlord threw me out because I couldn't pay rent. Joy slowly turned toward Emeka. So, you brought her here? Emeka nodded. I couldn't leave your best friend and her baby on the streets. Joy's anger weakened, but it didn't disappear. You could have told me. I tried, Emeka answered. Your messages stopped delivering. Your phone numbers kept changing. Sometimes months passed before we heard from you. Joy remembered. There had been periods when she changed jobs and struggled to renew her SIM card. Some months she could only make short calls because work was overwhelming. But why keep it a secret once we started talking again? Emeka looked away. Because every time I wanted to tell you, something happened. What happened? Emeka hesitated. Then he quietly said, there is something much bigger than Chioma living in this house. Joy looked at him, confused. What are you talking about? Emeka swallowed hard. The money you've been sending home. He stopped speaking. Joy's heart began racing again. If the money wasn't where she thought it was, then where had it gone? The answer would either destroy the family forever or reveal a sacrifice no one saw coming. Joy's heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear herself think. She stared at Emeka, her voice trembling. What about the money? Tell me the truth, Emeka. Every naira I earned came from sleepless nights. Don't lie to me now. Emeka took a deep breath. I never used your money for myself. Joy scoffed. Really? Then where is the supermarket we planned? Where is the finished house? Where is the future we sacrificed for? Before Emeka could answer, Chioma walked inside and returned with a large brown envelope. She handed it to Joy. Open it. Joy hesitated before pulling out the documents. There were bank statements, receipts, hospital bills, transfer records, and a neatly arranged notebook. Every page was dated. Every naira she had sent from Italy had been recorded. She looked up in confusion. What is all this? Emeka spoke quietly. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with kidney failure. Joy felt her knees weaken. What? I hid it from you. Why would you hide something like that from me? Because I knew you would abandon everything and come home. You had sacrificed too much. I couldn't let all your hard work go to waste. Tears rolled down Joy's cheeks. The money you sent paid for my dialysis, medications, and hospital visits, Emeka continued. Whatever remained was used to keep the shop running and to complete the parts of the house we could afford. Joy flipped through more documents. Everything matched. Every transfer, every hospital receipt, every withdrawal. Nothing had been hidden. Nothing had been stolen. Then she noticed another file. What is this? Chioma smiled gently. Open it. Inside was the deed to a piece of land. Joy frowned. This is the land beside the market, Emeka replied. I bought it in your name. I couldn't build on it because of my illness, but I wanted your dream to stay alive. Joy burst into tears. For hours she had believed she had been betrayed. Instead, she discovered that the people she had accused had been protecting one another through unimaginable hardship. She turned to Chioma. I'm so sorry. Chioma embraced her tightly. You had every reason to be angry. If I had been in your shoes, I might have thought the same. Joy looked toward the living room as little Kelvin peeked through the curtain. She smiled and opened her arms. The little boy ran to her. I'm not your mummy, Joy said softly, wiping his tears. But if you'll allow me, I'll gladly become your second mother. The child hugged her tightly. Even the neighbors, who had gathered expecting a scandal, quietly drifted away, ashamed of the conclusions they had already formed. Months later, Joy used the remaining savings she had brought from Italy, together with the land Emeka had secured. The family opened the neighborhood supermarket they had dreamed about years earlier. Chioma managed one section of the business, while Joy handled the finances. Emeka, now recovering well after receiving proper treatment, supervised daily operations. Their home, once filled with suspicion and silence, became a place of healing, laughter, and second chances. Joy often remembered the moment she stood outside the gate, convinced her life had been destroyed. She realized that what she saw with her eyes was only a fraction of the truth. The deepest wounds are often caused by assumptions, while the greatest healing begins when people choose honest conversations over quick judgments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more emotional African stories that inspire, challenge, and remind us of the values that hold families together. The greatest lesson from Joy's story is simple. Never allow assumptions to speak louder than truth, and never let distance replace communication. Trust is built through honesty, patience, and understanding. Now we'd love to hear from you. If you were in Joy's position, what would your first reaction have been? And wherever you're watching from around the world, tell us your country and city in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing storytelling family, and we'll see you in the next inspiring African story.